Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the High Elves led by Tim the Wilder facing off against Slaanesh, who shall be helmed by Berserk here on Chateau de Roquefort. And certainly a fun lore-friendly matchup, right? Doesn't Slaanesh have a bit of a hard-on for the High Elves? Well, we will find out here today. So for the Elven force in the front line, going to be a couple Reaver Archers, and they're pretty good against Slaanesh. They can get up, they can grab the points, and Slaanesh does have a fair amount of targets for them. Fiends, Demonettes, Furies, whatever. They're going to be pretty effective against all of those. The one big thing that you do need to worry about as a High Elf player using any sort of skirmish cav against Slaanesh in the early game is that if they do have the Pavane on a mobile character, they can Pavane you down pretty badly and pull you into your death. So like, one Pavane is basically like guaranteed value and you're going to wipe out a unit. But it looks like here Berserk is going for a more armored approach, which makes sense. It's going to be a Shadowcaster with a bunch of Hell Scourges, basic Slaanesh warriors, and Sigvald. So that kind of long grinding playstyle, which Slaanesh is good at for sure. Aside from that, we do have a couple units of Silver and Guard. Nice little spear units there, and looks like archers and a big old dragon character, so it's going to be an Archmage of Life, no surprises there. And we do have Flesh to Stone, so physical resistance against Slaanesh. A lot of times you're going to be fighting the mobile game against magic damage units, so you're going to be seeing things like Fiends and Seekers, but yeah, I'm curious to see, because obviously Tim is a very calculated guy, very insightful in the meta, so there's got to be some application for the Flesh to Stone that we will see here today. Also, Berserk in the Bushes does have a couple sneaky, so he's got Hell Scourges and a Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh with Pavane. Ooh, sneaky Berserk here. Okay, he makes Tim think that his caster is a Shadowcaster, lulls him into a false sense of confidence, right? Probably going to be hiding this Slaanesh caster in the tree line right here, maybe hoping Tim will come over and try and poke him, and then he's going to maybe catch him with that Pavane. That would be super nasty, and that would be a big mind game play for sure. Now, we can do a little bit of fast forwarding while the armies do waddle into position. Berserk is totally trying to bait him right here. Look at this. He's like, come on, Tim. You want it. So as archers get close, Pavane would be able to certainly massacre one of those, but Tim is going to be coming over with his Archmage. So worst case, he could use Flesh to Stone on one of the Reaver cav units, give them a ton of Fizz res, and then from there maybe survive the Alpha Strike from the Pavane. I don't know, hard to say, but it looks like there was an attempted Pavane here from Berserk. But Tim's game sense just on point right now. He smells that trap, and he is able to pull back there. So here, Prince Sigvald the Magnificent is going to be getting up on Objective 2. Objective Trace is going to be going to the forces of Slaanesh as well. And the High Elves do manage to grab Objective 1. And from here, they're going to be doing a bit of a slow push out on the old Warriors of Chaos here. I guess Slaanesh. But technically, they're all in the Warriors of Chaos umbrella, right? Like, mono, but still, mono god, but still Warriors of Chaos. Poking down from the cav, not doing a ton of damage, 139 value so far, and they have been able to get a little bit of a DPS in on some of the characters. Sigvald, of course, he's too magnificent. The arrows will bounce off his glimmering armor, and he's going to be able to heal up just fine as he looks in his reflection here. So yeah, not bad. But those cav, they're pretty good in combat as well. 32, 34, great stat line for a skirmish cav archer, right? Like that's kind of a similar stat line to a lot of light cav and other factions. But the archer is going to be saturating into the Chaos Warriors, who do have silver shields, so not going to be the most cost-effective. Tim is going to need some good solutions here for dealing with armor, and we do see the beginning of that. So we see the Pyramid Company coming out. Great armor-piercing unit that does also have armor sundering, so that's pretty nice with archers, right? If they're finding a Chaos Warrior, they're going to put their armor down to 70 and allow the archers in the secondary, which fire very effectively over their heads, to do even more damage. So I do like that. And we do also have another White Lion of Krace coming out. Now, in a straight-up fight, I don't know who would win that. I think the White Lions of Krace will definitely beat the non-Hell Scourge variant, but the Hell Scourge variant might still be able to trade evenly with them and beat them. I don't know, hard to say. So we do see the wand item from the Chaos Sorcerers coming down. Nice little tech there by Berserk. Does nail a couple of the archer units, tickling the pickle a little bit. Tim trying to poke where he can, getting whatever value he can out of the Elven Archers before he decides to move in. Every time I hear Elven Archer, it takes me back to the 90s of playing Magic the Gathering, the dreaded 2-1 first strike Elven Archer. It's really insane when you look at Magic. I mean, not even arguably, but the strongest cards like printed in Magic, of course, were some of the Power 9 stuff, right? So like, the Moxes and Time Walk and, Black Lotus, like just the fast mana, just super broken stuff, right? But then like when you get past like, Alpha, Beta, and Revised in those early editions, there was like a Dark Ages, right? Like Magic was like some ancient civilization that... So nice Pavane going down right here. I was about to go on a long rant about Magic cards. But yeah, it's good. And we do see a Flesh to Stone response. So that probably is the tech for Tim. But what I was going to say is that, Magic was like, it's like in the Imperium in 40k. It had this like great time of like super OP cards. And there's like a Dark Ages, right? Like the, what is that set called? It's like one of the most worst Magic sets, Fallen Empires. And then like just mad power creep from there, right? Like modern Magic cards, dude, you can't, like the things you can spend 4 mana on in Magic, like cost like 8 mana in old Magic. It's pretty insane. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed my TED Talk. We do see the White Lions of Krace moving up. Pure Main Company as well as these White Lions heading to Objective 3. that grind wasn't too bad. Considering the Flesh to Stone, it maybe did keep some of those models alive. I mean, it for sure did. They trade pretty evenly there. We do see the Slaanesh mobility pulling back. Now the dreaded Fiends have arrived, one of the strongest units in the roster. And yeah, I like that Berserk opens up with a very shielded core and then starts to call in the heavy hitters. We do see the Exalted Demonettes coming out who will absolutely massacre these guys, the Pyrmane Company, and pretty much anything else. And the first Earthblood does go down, healing this blob, while the big scary dragon character does lend its maw here to this fight. Hellstrider's getting worked on a little bit, but Fiends do pile in the backfield. We do see the Warlines of Krace doing battle with the Hellscourge Warriors. The Warlines should do pretty well there, especially with a little bit of mobile support. And the Elven Archers are firing well. The First Strike certainly paying dividends here, as it does shoot into the Fiends of Slaanesh, which are an insane unit. Factions that don't have ranged things to poke Fiends, oh man, they just cause so much havoc. But a little bit of an overextension by Tim, and Berserk is going to be capitalizing. Tim got a little bit balls deep there, chasing with his Reaver Archers, trying to, fully get these guys routed, and he gets those Reaver Cav caught pretty badly, but a little bit of a counterpunch coming in, as we do see the Warlines of Krace helping out. So I guess not the worst trade in the world, but definitely still a little bit better for old Berserk. Now back in the infantry line, the Exalted Demonettes have arrived. We see the Pyrmane Company trying to fight them. They don't do magic damage or anything, so they're going to get massacred very, very badly in combat. But it is a numbers game as well, and there are some Silver and Guard in here, so maybe they'll give enough buffer space to trade okay in this fight. And oh yeah, okay, so Tim has multiple units of Archers shooting those Demonettes. For a second I was like, how are they actually taking damage? But yeah, clearly the Archers have been able to get some good firepower in there and are doing some work. Other wand ability going to be going down from the Prince of Darkness over here, from his Chaos Sorcerer. And Sigvald looking extra magnificent. I don't know what word I was thinking of there. But yeah, he's looking glorious in his sparkling armor as he bashes through those Silver and Guard, doing some solid work there. Big macro look at the battlefield. Objective 1 does belong to the Elves, but it looks like Slaanesh might be able to kind of weasel this one out. They do have a Chaos Warrior there. Tim, unfortunately, was not fighting on the objective. And the Silver and Guard could have been camping on this point. That's probably what Tim should do, is move the Silver and Guard up to contest this point, just to buy time on the objective. In the middle, Slaanesh does own that one pretty firmly. But on this side, it looks like the High Elves are starting to get some ground. The Narnia lines nibbling through, the Dragon character helping with the Fiends, and the Pyrmane Company and the White Lines of Krace holding pretty well. I'm surprised the Exalted Demonettes have not been able to get through these yet, but obviously the Archers were able to really thin out their numbers. And Prince Sigvald's not going to let his girlfriends get in trouble here, so he's going to be moving in and starting to bash down some of these infantry. And they are charmed right now, so their melee attack is going to be relatively low, down at 34. Sigvald and the Sorcerer probably going to be seeing a Mel cost follow-up as well. So no Fireborn yet. We haven't seen the Fireborn in action. They're kind of an auto-take in a lot of matchups, but maybe against Fiends, they're just a little bit too weak. So using the cheaper Cav and Infantry and Spears is a little bit more cost-effective. In the meantime, the Archmage does get a decent dive. The Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh here does get nibbled on and is going to be forced back by the Archmage, and the mobility core of the High Elves is going to be retreating away, as we do see some more Reaver Cav coming in tandem with some Rangers to try and grind down these forces. The High Elves using kind of a bit of a Vermintide strategy, a lot of cheap mid-tier infantry just to overwhelm with some nice Archer support as well. So where's the Archmage going to be going next? Is it going to be diving into the back of the Seekers and Fiends? Got to be very careful, because if the Elves do lose the frontline fight, then it's surrounded by Seekers and Fiends, although it does get a very fortunate attack animation there and is able to escape that. The dreaded Total War attack animation certainly deciding many, many things. But right now, Berserk is pretty up on the objectives, and yeah, the High Elves are trading well in terms of value, but so is Slaanesh, and that never bodes well for you. If somebody else has the objectives and like it's an even trade across the battlefield, if you keep trading evenly, the status quo is going to be remaining, right? So that's very tough. And I do think that Tim is currently in a losing position. The Chaos Warriors have gotten on top of several Archer units. We see the Fiends and the Sorcerer here stabilizing pretty well. Exalted Demonettes in their power fantasy situation, really. I mean, they're fighting multiple good quality units. Reavers, White Lines of Krace here, also a little bit of damage on the Archmage, and they're probably going to be getting, 1,200 value before they do croak here. The Voter Marauders moving up, more Fiends on the way in. Tim is managing to hold on to Objective 3 right now. But he's fighting such a small portion of the Slaanesh army, right? And he's still kind of struggling to get this point, which is really, really tough for him. And it looks like he's going to be trying to weasel through the middle here with his Reaver Cap to try and grab that point and ninja it out. But Berserk, obviously a very savvy opponent, is going to be moving up in the point with the Chaos Warriors. Should be able to grab that one. In the meantime, in the back, we do see the Archers with light armor shooting into the Chaos Warriors with those Silver Shields. When they're turning their backs and running, the Silver Shields don't play into the reduction, but as soon as they turn about and form ranks, they're falling back in good order right now, which is very similar to tabletop here, but not going to be overrun, and they should be able to hold those Silver and Guard for a long time. Sigvald anchoring down the middle. On the outside here, Tim the Wilder desperately trying to get a value lead by just having his Lord and a lot of mobility trading here, but all these trades are just going downhill, right? These Archers are going to get wrecked. We see Pavane going down. The High Elves are wavering across the board. Illyrian Reavers and Reaver Cav here having a bad time. Narnia lines being swarmed by mass. And Narnia Lions are more of an anti-infantry unit. They're not going to be super good against like fiends and these various, large-sized demons that we do see lurking here. I remember when fiends were bad, man. They're so good now. But yeah, Slaanesh, they're a ways off in DLC, right? Yeah, because it's going to be Khorne next, and then Slaanesh will... My prediction would be that Slaanesh is going to get an update with the Elves. So it'll be like the Dark Elf, High Elf coming in with them. Because, they're in lore, they're like kind of the mortal enemies. And it makes sense for, Greenskins to kind of be with Khorne because they're both super fighty. So thematically, it's kind of a fun DLC, right? Because you have like these two super fighty factions just rumbling, and everybody's happy. Gork is happy, Mork is happy, Khorne is happy. It's a win for everybody. So yeah, in the middle, we see Sigvald just partying it up like it's 1999, listening to some Limp Bizkit there. And over on Objective 3, the High Elves do own this one, but they're losing a massive amount of ground. Does Tim have any opportunities to scrap his way back? He does have healing. He has certainly healed enough to still be in this game. Breath Attack going down to the Demonettes does not quite get them to crumble. Narnia Lions on their way in to try and nibble through these guys. And these Narnia Lions are holding quite well. The Dragon character looking at the value of the Archmage, about 1900, which is great for like a mobile healing station. But yeah, I don't see Tim getting him off these points here, unsummoning some of the archers, using the last of his ammunition before he does that. Here we do see the High Elves with a little bit of a capture weight advantage. Now, who wins this? 3,000 HP against 4.8. The stat line and the poison probably still... Oh man, I don't know. The Silverin might be able to pull it out with that 54 melee defense. Pretty nutty, but it's going to be a close one at the end of the day. On the other side, though, Slaanesh does take the objective, and now the High Elves are triple capped, and the points are encroaching at 1,100 here, which is really, really tough. And the Fiends of Slaanesh going to be ripping through these war lines of Krace. Desperation here from Tim, but I really don't see any avenues. I mean, look across the battlefield. The High Elves are basically tattered into the pits, and some white lines are coming in, but they're not going to be able to put a dent in these Fiends and these Seekers and these other scary units. And it looks like the Elves with a little bit of a cheeky cap over here. A couple Spear units going to be trying to grab that one down. I would imagine that Berserk is going to be responding with some fast cav here soon. He does call in some heavy infantry on that side, or just some light infantry, actually, Devoted Marauders. But yeah, you could be seeing like a Seeker or a Fiend or a Hellscourge come up here, and that would basically shut down all of the efforts. And I would imagine that, my guess would be, this is obviously a replay, but I would guess that Tim is going to be tapping out in the next, like, before 12 minutes and 30 seconds, I think that Homeboy is going to be tapping out. I could be wrong. It ain't my first rodeo, but I mean, these fights are, they're tough. They're tough. Although, if this, I don't know which, this was at a best of 3 series. If this was game 3, I could be wrong. Because people in game 3 will often fight tooth and nail and try and, if the game's on the line, right, then they will. But here, we do see the High Elves scrapping this one back. A couple Silver and Chads holding their own. Their pointy hats and spears doing very, very well. Sigvald and company could easily just hunker down on one objective, and that really is the problem for the High Elves. They're going to have to get all 3 objectives from the clutches of Slaanesh, and that is not easy. Slaanesh is one of the better factions in the game at responding to objective captures. So, if somebody makes a surprise play on one of your points, Slaanesh has so many 100 speed units. Fiends are like 80 speed or something absurd. No, 95, yeah. Just absolutely insane. And a couple of Furies were idle back there. Even when they arrive, it's going to be even uglier. So Tim trying to chase him off the point here, but the Devoted Marauders as well as the Swordsmen on their way in, and the Furies should be able to rip these guys apart. They do really, really good damage. And in the middle, Tim is going to be trying to get cheeky and put some capture weight on Objective 2, but Berserk does respect that and is going to be pulling back Sigvald as well as the Shadowcaster. Dropping a bell cost down on this bad boy does do some nice work. So looking here, 1360. Let's see if my prediction is correct. I still have another 15 seconds to be really, really on point with the prediction, but we are approaching 1,400 points. I mean, Sigvald himself can just basically anchor down on 1 point. But a very good scrap by Tim. Like, he managed to steal Objective 1, and that's where you see the healing coming into play, right? Because the value difference is big, but there's a lot of Elven healing that's gone down, so that is not really reflected there. But even still, Fiends are on their way and should be able to hold that point. And ladies and gentlemen, that has got to be it. So I was off on my timing. I certainly, this must have been one of the later games in the series, a very, very sweaty one. But yeah, there's absolutely zero chance. And we do see the tap out right there. The Seducers of Slaanesh have struck once again and seduced the High Elves. All right, Lothern is in a little bit of trouble. But yeah, it was a good game. Nice contested scrap. I felt like that big engagement, maybe Tim spread himself a little bit too thin would be, I don't know if that's like, yeah, he was fighting for 3 objectives against a very mobile faction. I think if he had just kind of used his formations and his spears and his bows and kept everything more concentrated and defensive on just 2 points, although I understand why he spread out, Sigvald kind of forced him to do that in a way, right? Because Sigvald, no, the Shadowcaster, so out of desperation of not wanting to deal with Sigvald, he moved to the other points, which makes sense. So yeah, I guess that's not really a valid criticism because he kind of was forced into that by the build his opponent had. But yeah, good match. GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Value for this army, 1,800 on the Shadowcaster. No surprises. Elves are very vulnerable against Melkos. And yeah, Fiends are obviously just insane. 1,600, 1,500. Some of them were summoned twice. Seekers also did quite good. And for Tim's build, where did he get his value? Yeah, archers, 500, 850. Pretty damn good for just like cheap baseline archers, right? And the White Lions of Krace definitely struggled. The Narnia Lions got crushed. They did not come close to paying for themselves, so that certainly hurts. All right, guys, GG, well played. We'll see you around, and that is going to be it for tonight.